Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we'll see how to create table views programmatically. Now there's a lot of videos on YouTube explaining how to do that using storyboards, but today we'll do it programmatically. So let's get started. Let's start by adding a new file for our table view. Let's name it settings table view. Now this class will be of type UITableView. So let's just go ahead and declare that. And of course, we need to import UIKit to import any UI elements. Now let's get started by initializing our class using the designated TableView initializer. We'll give it a frame of 0. And also, this will be a plain table view. Let's also add the required initializer. We can just auto-complete that and we should be good. Now, let's actually add a setup method that we can call from our init method. And in this setup method, we are going to declare all the properties of our table view. So let's actually start by adding a row height. Let's give it a row height of 60. We can add a background color of color gray. We can also give a separator color. Let's give it white color. And also let's set the translate auto resizing mask into constraints to false because we'll add manual constraints to it. We'll circle back to this class when our table view has some data. So let's go back to our viewController class. Let's add a couple of functions here to start with. We will add setupViews function, and we'll also add setupConstraints function here. And we'll call it from our viewDidLoad. Again, for the reason of not cluttering our viewDidLoad method. So let's bring in the table view that we have just created. Let's lazy initialize it. Give it a name of table view, and this will not be of type UITableView, but instead it will be of type settings table view that we have just created. And because we already have done our customization, we'll just return settings table view as is. Now let's add our table view to our UI view. So we'll do .view, add subview, our table view. And now let's give our table view some constraints. Let me type it out real quick and I'll explain what I did. Alright, what I did was I pinned the table views leading and trailing anchor to our views leading and trailing anchor. And for the top and bottom anchor, I've pinned it to the safe areas of top and bottom anchor of our view. So let's go ahead and give it a run and see how it looks like so far. I have my simulator running and it looks like our regular table view. As you can see, it has gray background color, white separator color, but it doesn't have any data yet. So let's go ahead and add some data to it. To do that, let's go ahead and create a new file. Let's name it settings table view items, and we'll create an enumeration. Let me actually go ahead and type out some mock data. Alright, so we have our dummy data going. What I did was I used settings app as an example and used some of its rows to demonstrate or rather mock our dummy data. Once that is done, we are ready to wire up our table view with the data that we have just created. To wire up our data, let's go ahead and create an extension of a viewController and conform to the UITableViewDelegate and UITableViewDataSource protocols, and also add the required protocol stubs like number of rows in section and self for row at index path. For number of rows in section, our goal is actually to get number of rows equals to the number of cases that we have, and our enum is of type integer and case iterable, and this will allow us to map our data to our table view cells. So let's actually go ahead and use settings table view items dot all cases dot count. So what this will do is it will give us the number of rows equal to the number of cases that we have, and that is all what we have to do here. Now for self for row at method, let's start by initializing a cell, and this will just use a default cell provided by the system. So let's use a default style and give it a reuse identifier of cell. Now what we want to do is we want to give it a title, but we already have a title, so let's try to map this title to the title of our cell. So what we need to do is we need to map it somehow. We'll use our settings table view items, and with the help of raw value, we'll pass in the index path.row and simply try to map our title to appear in our table view cell. So let's just say $0.title, and we can go ahead and return this cell, and this will map our title to the row. Let's go ahead and run the project and see what we got so far. Well, nothing shows up. That's because we didn't say that this view controller is TableView's data source and delegate. So let's add that real quick and try to run the project again, and hopefully we'll have some data. And there we have it. It's working properly. Now we can easily go back to our data source and add more rows to it in the future. And without making any other code change, our table view will show the data that we have added. So let's go ahead and add another row and give it a run, and hopefully our new row will show up. So table view is working properly, but let's go back to our table view class and add a few more properties to it. Let's go ahead and remove the separators. So let's set the table view separator style to none. And when we do that, we don't actually need the separator color. Now let's just add one last property and wrap up this video. We can hide all the empty cells by setting the table footer view property and by giving it a frame of 0. So when we actually run it again, all the cells that does not have any data will just hide away. That way we'll have more clear and more clean table view. And that is it for this video. Hopefully you learned something from it. Happy coding, and I'll see you next time.